And we're back at it here with you for another video. And we should be live on YouTube as of right now. So shout out. We got a viewer. Today we're going to be continuing our recap of the NFL draft team by team. In the first half, we made it through Arizona through Jacksonville. This half we'll be doing Kansas City through Washington. And we'll get straight into it. Stay tuned for a quick announcement at the channel at the end. Excited to be bringing you guys content again. I apologize. I've had an absolute crap ton of schoolwork this week. But starting out with the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously the Super Bowl champions. Some thought they reached a little bit, grabbing Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. My boy Glide 22 out of LSU. Some people didn't think they reached. Andy Reid actually had called people up telling them that this guy was as good, every bit as good, if not better than Brian Westbrook, who started for him for 8 years actually, on the Eagles. If that doesn't tell you at all, I don't know what does. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, expect him to be a big part of that offense moving forward. And they're definitely going to get their value out of him because Andy Reid's play design gets his value out of every weapon he ever gets. And Willie Gay Jr., I had to go into the Seahawks at pick 64. We didn't get the chance because they took him at pick 63. Unlikely we would have taken him, obviously. But Willie Gay Jr., a hell of a player. Off-field concerns dropped him down to the second round this year. He never really got the chance to shine in college at Mississippi State. I think he's going to be a star for the Chiefs down the line. And Lucas Niang out of Texas Christian, I think, is a pretty decent tackle pick. The other guys I don't need. Anything from you, Jack?
No, I just think that, especially with a team like the Chiefs, I think, especially like right now, because like you're the defending Super Bowl champions, like getting drafted by a team that just won the Super Bowl, I feel like there would be a lot of high expectations for that. And, I think as rookies, I think these guys just need to understand that, like, it's going to take some time to grow. And, it's just, they shouldn't be coming into Kansas City right away thinking that they're going to be, like, the best superstar players because,
that's right.
It'll take some time.
That's right. They're not. But the Chiefs got a couple good pieces that'll be good parts of their franchise moving forward. Definitely a good piece on offense and defense in the first and second, and a hopeful, I probably backup and maybe starter eventually on offense in the third. I'd give the Chiefs.
Sure.
I'm going to give the Chiefs I'm going to give them a B-. I don't think they did anything exceptional. Didn't make any terrible picks. Obviously, I don't know who the guys are really very well. Other than I know L'Jarius Sneed a tiny bit, but I'm not going to grade him because I don't know him well enough to do that. But PDK as out of Tulane, don't know him, and Michael Dent out of Michigan, don't know barely at all either. But I'm going to give them a B-. I think. Those first two picks I think are really good. I give them really plus on those first three even, since Niang was projected as high as second round at different parts of this draft process. But I'm gonna,
yeah, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, I definitely like the B- to B range. I think it's a legit case, and as you said, we probably don't know like a lot about these guys.
That's right. But, I would go up close to the B range though. I'd agree with that. Anyway, moving on to Las Vegas, our first new NFL city in a long time. Since, Jack, do you know when the last new NFL city was? LA wasn't a new NFL city.
The last new NFC. No, I think it was when the Jaguars and the Panthers, since Tennessee.
Tennessee,
when
wow.
When the Oilers moved to Tennessee.
I think you might be right about that.
No. It wasn't that. It was Houston.
Yeah, shout out to our slow internet.
Expect the action Houston.
Oh, yep. Sorry, you lagged a little bit there, Jack.
I was saying the expansion Houston Texans, I think, was the most recent city.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Texans. All right. So the Raiders, obviously, John Gruden and Mike Mayock used to be doing mock drafts and draft coverage, and now they're drafting their teams. And I have to say, I can't fault them with any of these picks. They had all their picks were 4th round and up. First of all, Jack, I think this might be the first time you and I have heard of all of these players. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I have heard of.
I agree with you.
So, Amick Robertson, I'll work up because these are all players I have something to say. Amick Robertson is a good, standout at Louisiana Tech, obviously, or he wouldn't be up here, but doesn't have the physical tools and combine stats of like some guys higher on this list. They obviously got Damon Arnett higher, but I'm going to talk about him in a sec. John Simpson, I think, is an underrated guard at Clemson. We had him on our big board around the 80s, 90s range. They got him in the 4th at the 100s range. I think that's a good pickup. I think he could be a starter on the O-line in the future. Tanner Muse out of Clemson. A Clemson safety is always a good pick, and I know there's the joke about how the Raiders love to take the Bama and Clemson players, but it's hard to say it doesn't work out, especially on defense. And Tanner Muse, I don't know a lot about, but I know he played for Clemson. I know he's going to be an NFL player for a while. Brian Edwards out of South Carolina. Some people had him way higher than this, like late first. Some people had him lower than this. I think we had him right around here. I think he's a good receiver. I don't think they needed him that badly. That's their 3rd one, obviously. I think Bowden is a really good pick. Turned his life around junior year at Kentucky about. And he actually played a little bit of quarterback as well at Kentucky. He is an insane athlete. I think Bowden will be really good along with Ruggs in the future. Arnett, they reached. So, of course, he was a reach on my big board. I had him at like 50-something. Most people had him, 60s. But honestly, it's hard to say that it's a reach when we're talking about Mike Mayock and John Gruden being the evaluators because those guys have been doing this for a long time. If they think Damon Arnett was better than Christian Fulton and Jeff Gladney and Trevon Diggs, then who am I to tell him no?
Right.
AJ Terrell, that's who I had him taking, I think. I don't remember quite what we had in the mock draft, but he was obviously gone before. And Ruggs, with that first pick, was a little bit of a reach, we all think, but the speed's there. The talent's there. If that's their guy, that's their guy. I have to give the Raiders, they obviously had a lot of really high-value picks, but I think they got great value out of all of them, or for the most part. None of them.
Yeah.
Like, these could all hit, and the worst-case scenario, which ones of these don't hit, maybe Lynn Bowden doesn't hit, or Amick Robertson doesn't hit. These guys are all going to be solid NFL players. I'd give them I'm going to give him a B.
I'm going to give him a B+.
I think B to B+. I might even lean towards B+. I like that John Simpson pick a lot. I had him pretty decent on the board.
Yeah, same here.
Bowden, yeah. I like in the 3rd round. I think that's a little bit of a steal, mid-3rd. And Robertson even at the end of the 4th. B to B+. I think we should go B+. Good draft for Gruden, Mayock, and co. Moving on to Los Angeles, we got the Chargers. And we are trying to go a little bit quicker than the first half. I know we took like 49 minutes for the first half, but we're just free-flowing, really. And we're not really going at a specific pace. If you guys have stuff you want us to talk about, drop it in the chat, and we'll be sure to answer any questions. NFL, we can also answer MLB, NBA. Any questions you have. Technically, we're an all-sports show, so we'll take them. But moving back to the topic, once this loads, I apologize for that. It's taking a minute. Sec. All right, we should be back up. Anyway, what I was saying, Joshua Kelly, good one cut back, a little bit of Arian Foster, not going to have I don't see him having that type of career, but with running backs these days, you really never know. Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma with the 23rd pick, I think is good. Dude's more of a second-level guy, but a good linebacker nonetheless, and that's what they need with their two elite edge rushers in Bosa and Ingram. Anyway, Justin Herbert seems like it fits.
Yes.
Doesn't seem like Phillip Rivers. Seems like, the opposite of Phillip Rivers coming out of college. But I really like Herbert, and I explained on draft day 1, and I'm going to continue to explain this until the season. I think Herbert, I think arm strength still matters a little bit. I think when you have a howitzer, you can come back when the other team, slows down. And I think Herbert can be taught the rest pretty easily. I think he's an athlete. The questions about whether he loves football from guys like, I don't know, Zach Schomler, shout out to you. Obviously, you can't really tell whether a guy likes football, and it's all speculation. But I think his teammates seem to speak out for him a ton. And
right.
I think that's been mostly refuted. I think that was mostly stuff we heard a while back. I'm going to give, anyway, mostly based on Justin Herbert and Kenneth Murray and Kelly. I'm going to give the Chargers I'm going to give them a B+. They got their quarterback of the future. Right. I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Fuck whoever they took in the 4th and 5th round. Moving on to our second LA team, the Rams, who we're not too fond of down in Seattle. These boys, wow, they had 10 or 11 picks starting
a lot of picks.
Starting in the 2nd round, and they started off with 2 playmakers, Cam Akers out of Florida State and Van Jefferson out of Florida. Cam Akers, I've heard from super agent David Mulugeta that Cam Akers is going to be a superstar in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Cam Akers, I could see being a superstar in the NFL, quite frankly. Even, it's not likely for any running back coming out of college these days. But I would watch out for Cam Akers. I'm going to be looking at him in fantasy football. Van Jefferson out of Florida. Obviously, they've got a couple wide receivers on this team already, but Brett Coleman seemed to really like this guy. Thinks he's got a good, solid base and some decent potential. And Terrell Lewis out of Alabama in the 3rd round, I think, is a steal. We had the dude in the 30s or 40s on our big board, so that's an absolute steal. And Burgess at the end of the 3rd round. Also a steal. We had him in the 90s. They got him in the hundreds. Hopkins I had as my 2nd tight end, I believe, if not my 1st. And he went to them 136. I had him in the 60s or 70s or 80s. Based on those picks, Tremaine Ankrum in the 7th round got a little bit of buzz. I'm going to give this Rams draft a B+ as well. They filled a lot of holes. They got 5 really, really good players who I can think can step in and contribute day 1, and a possible 6th. And a couple other guys that might do something with this kicker. Who knows?
Well, they did get rid of Zerline, though. That's the thing.
They did?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
That's why they drafted. That. That's why they got the kicker.
So all right. Well, probably not the next Legatron. That's a high honor to live up to.
Yeah, but also I was also amazed to just see how many picks the Rams were able to get, considering they got rid of a lot of them in the Jalen Ramsey trade.
Yeah, they did get some picks. I forget how they got all these picks. I forget how they got all these picks. It would be cool for us to do a video talking about how teams did their general management. Like, acquiring and losing picks and stuff like that. Drop a comment or drop it in the chat if you guys want to see that. Yeah, we'll think about doing something like that. It's a good idea. Anyway, I'm going to give this, B+, plugged a lot of holes. Moving on to Miami. And this is the fun one. Especially from day one, man. Now, first of all, before I even look at the players, I'm going to give Miami a fucking A+. Dude, they nailed it. Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback of the future. Nailed it. Dude wouldn't have been available at 5 had it not been for the injury. And Joe Burrow coming out as a transcendent star. Therefore, don't overthink the fact that you're taking him at 5. If you think the injury is one thing, then whatever. If you can't, but if you're in doubt, I'd err on the side of taking Tua, and I could live with him getting injured. I couldn't live with him beasting for another team. And I think he would. Austin Jackson out of USC with 18th pick. I think this guy rose a lot on draft boards during the season and combine and all that. But I think I don't know. I don't think you should have gone maybe quite up at 18. But when you need a tackle, you need a tackle, and it's going to be worth it. And there's no question about that. Noah Igbenegene, not the CB I would have picked, but as a slot corner, this 5'10 motherfucker will battle, and I think this is actually going to turn out to be a really, really good player on their team as well. I think they're going to have one of the best stables of cornerbacks in the league with Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, and this kid at the slot. Robert Hunt, this tackle out of Louisiana Lafayette. This was the first player, if you watched my day 2, you saw this was the first guy who I had no idea who he was, but they really like him, and a lot of people really like this pick. And you can't fault them for taking a tackle they like. Raekwon Davis, and then a million other players. Curtis Weaver, they actually got really late in the 5th round when PFF had this guy, and we had this guy up near the first fucking round on our draft board. So
yeah,
I think this could turn out to be an absolute steal. I'm going to give these guys an A+. They had too many picks and stuff not to get an A+. Plugged too many holes, too many important ones.
Yep, same here. I agree with you.
Yeah. Moving on. Whoops. Not the Pats quite yet. Vikings. All right. Moving on to Skull Nation. So Justin Jefferson out of LSU went 22. We thought he would go 21 right before that to the Eagles, who took Jalen Rieger instead. Pretty good pick. And then they traded back, obviously, with the Pack and got Jeff Gladney. And then Ezra Cleveland, Cameron Dantzler. Then they get traded out in the 4th. Other than that, yeah, Nate Stanley out of Iowa, QB, I guess. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think overall they had a pretty solid draft. I mean, yet again, I mean, there are some question marks, with the Vikings right now, especially, with their whole, with Stephon Diggs being gone and, Everson Griffin probably not coming back. I think they definitely did go defense in this draft, and I really have to agree with that. Mike Zimmer is a defensive guy, and I can totally see why they went in that direction.
I think they got a lot of defensive players. They did get Ezra Cleveland as a tackle and Jefferson as a receiver, so there's a couple offensive players as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and give the Vikings. Let's give them a B. I mean, it's hard. I feel like we're giving everybody B's and B+. This is really a decent draft. They had a lot of picks, and they got a bunch of guys that we had in our big board that were higher. So it's hard to give them below average. Like plugging that many holes on your roster. New England, Man, okay, I'm going to come out and say it. New England didn't have a great draft.
No, they did not.
So they didn't take a quarterback, and they've got Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer, and who's going to be their quarterback? Like,
who knows?
Who knows, right? I mean,
knows?
They decided to take 2 tight ends at the end of the 3rd round. Yeah. Let's just say, obviously, Belichick's up to something. Obviously, those guys, have their way of doing things, evaluating players, which most of the NFL uses a system that's based off of theirs. But you took a guy out of Lenoir Ryan with your first pick. You took Josh Uche out of Michigan, who has a lot of. When I looked at his highlights, I mean, he's not a guy that scouts love, but the Patriots see this guy's toughness and really like it. And Anthony Jennings, why do I keep saying? Yeah, hopefully this guy doesn't stay in the league, so I don't have to pronounce his name too much. I'm kidding. Hopefully he has a great career, but and we had this guy in the 2nd round, so that's actually a pretty good pick on our board.
Yeah.
Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. It's hard to say that New England's doing a bad job taking tight ends, considering how they've drafted tight ends in the past. But obviously, right now, those look like bad picks. I'm going to give this a C-. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be too high. I think I'm going to go C.
C. Okay.
C.
Fair enough. And moving on to the Saints, these guys only had 4 picks. They made them count where they needed players. They got them. Adam Troutman was sitting up there for a while. Kuiper was high on this guy. I wasn't, but I didn't watch him during the season. Cesar Ruiz, they really plugged a hole. We had the guy. We thought we were early having him go 33rd to the Bengals. Apparently that was late, as he goes 24. And Zach Bond in the 3rd, who we had as a 2nd round talent, some had as a 1st. A non-consequential Tommy Stevens pick that I don't think should make the roster. I'm going to go ahead. I mean, with what they had, since they didn't plug that many holes, and the way I'm weighting it, teams with more picks who plug more holes get better grades. I'm going to give the Saints a C+. No, C. Because I'll give them a C. Nothing exceptional, right? Zach Bond's a little bit of a good pick, and Adam Troutman might be. Cesar Ruiz is a little bit of a reach, but they plug a hole. We'll give him a C. And I think ESPN had a C as the worst rating they gave any team. It's hard to do. It's hard. I mean, let's remember, it's hard to do bad during the draft when you're getting free opportunities to improve your team. Although you're trying to get better in relation to everyone else. Now, the Giants, Stephen A. and a lot of other Giants fans didn't like their draft. Andrew Thomas, they thought might have been a reach, especially with Isaiah Simmons up there. McKinney, I thought was a good pick. They got a little bit of a deal. Matt Pert out of Connecticut, people seem to like, although some people don't. Darnay Holmes, I really like in the 4th round, and Shane Lemieux in the 5th. Oh, whoops. Click on Darnay. Whoops. All right.
My guy Steven Land just commented.
My guy Steven Land commented. Let's go.
Yep.
Hold on. All right. Hey, shout out to my boy Steven. My chat's still working on getting updated here. What'd he say?
He was saying, "Hey, how you doing? Gave a like. Also, thanks for giving my team an A+.
Hey.
Also, thanks for the shout out. I read it a few videos ago. I sincerely appreciate it."
Of course, that's my boy Steven. Thanks for the like. Thanks for all the views. Thanks for supporting the channel. We appreciate it. Anyway, the Giants here had a ton of picks. These 7th round picks are inconsequential. Take Crowder. People know who he is, so they thought that was a pretty good pick as the Mr. Irrelevant.
Yep.
Other than that, these top 5 picks I really like. Or I don't really like necessarily, but I think are okay. You know, I don't think they can get lower than a B minus.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, plug in these many holes. I mean, that O-line could really see a massive jump if they could. I forget who's playing center for them. I forget, but if they can figure out a 5-man O-line with Will Hernandez, these guys, Nate Solder. I mean, that's a lot of tackles. Not many guards. And I don't know who the center is going to be, but.
It was what was his name? Spencer Pulley.
Pulley. Did he end up doing okay?
He was okay, yeah.
He was okay. Hey, we'll see how the Giants' O-line figures out, but I think their O-line and their defense, you know, if those can show some improvement, then they can make some noise in one of the weaker divisions in football. And moving on to the New York Jets, I think these guys actually did really well. A lot of sites said that these guys didn't do well, taking Mekhi Becton 11. All their other picks, I mean, Mekhi Becton at 11 could be a little bit of a reach. It could also turn out really well. Either way, all their other picks, I think they got tremendous value on. For that reason, I'm going to give them a good draft grade. Bryce Hall in the 5th, obviously, I had around the 90s. P. Ryan, we didn't remember to throw him in there at the end, but he probably should be, 4th, 5th round pick. He does, have that he does have a brother in the NFL. He's got really good talent, and he could be more than just a rotational back, but nothing you can really guarantee there. Zuniga in the 3rd, pretty good pick. That's pretty much value spot on. Ashton Davis in the 3rd, that's pretty much in the early 3rd. I think that's value spot on as well. And Mims in the 2nd, I think, is actually a pretty good value pick, as some people had him going in the 1st. So I think their main value comes with Mims, and then that Bryce Hall pick later. But I'm going to say that they get a B minus.
Yeah, same here.
I thought I was going to give them a higher grade. I said they did well. Brett Coleman made a video about how they nailed the draft, but maybe they didn't. I don't know. I'm going to give them a B minus. Eagles. All right. They got themselves a wide receiver finally. Jalen Rieger is an awesome dude. He doesn't seem to me like a number 1. He seems to me like more of a number 2. Although I hope he proves me wrong. And I know he could.
Yeah, they do have a lot of receivers, though, I will say.
But their receivers, they're all trash.
You don't think Alshon? You think Alshon Jeffrey's trash?
Alshon and Deshaun Jackson are pretty good number 2s as well.
Or Aguilar?
Aguilar's trash, dude. Dude, if you don't want to catch COVID-19, you wear an Aguilar jersey. That's common knowledge at this point. I should be wearing one on stream all the time and every time I go outside. Nelson Aguilar jerseys should honestly be sold out. That's the way you just don't catch anything, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you don't want to catch anything, buy yourself an Aguilar jersey. Otherwise, you draft Jalen Rieger. Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts at wide receiver would be a really good move. And if they're trying to get 2 quarterbacks in the field and do the Taysom Hill thing, I'd like to see the Taysom Hill thing.
That's exactly what I was just gonna say.
I
could totally Jalen Hurts being like a Taysom Hill type of guy.
Well, they've been talking about wanting to do that. I would like to see Jalen Hurts do more of the wide receiver stuff and less of the running back stuff, as opposed to Taysom Hill being more of the running back stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see Jalen Hurts line up in the slot, then throw a pass, or Jalen Hurts line up in the backfield, then run a route. Maybe even take a snap and run a route.
You know who this reminds me of, actually?
Who does it remind you of?
Remember Terrell Pryor? He converted to a wide receiver.
That's a good comparison for me for Jalen Hurts. You know, I don't think Jalen Hurts is Lamar Jackson. I don't think most of us do. But I also don't think he's totally Terrell Pryor. I think he might be a little bit of a mix between Taysom Hill, Terrell Pryor. Maybe he's got a little more quarterback in him, like a little bit of that Russell Wilson in him. Like, I see a little bit of a really good star mobile quarterback in him. I don't think Skip Bayless is insane when he says he sees a star in Jalen Hurts. The dude has been a winner at times, and he's had some really good games on big stages as well, like that Georgia championship game where he came in for Tua. Obviously, that's one of the best stories in modern sports.
Yeah.
Although Davion Taylor in the third round, I didn't know who he was. He seems like an NFL body that they took a chance on with the pick. Kayvon Wallace out of Clemson, you're getting a player in Driscoll we had on our big board, so that's actually a good pick by our measures.
Yep. And
Winogo as that sixth round, people know his name. He obviously had a draft commercial. I'm going to go, for me, I'm going to go B. I'm going to go B minus. I'm going to go B. I think they got enough players to make this one a B.
Yeah.
6 possible with Winogo. Or if, Kez Watkins managed to turn out. Or Sean Bradley. Casey Toohill, I think, is pretty trash, to be honest. Just watching him at Stanford. Moving on. Other team in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I'm going to give Philadelphia, I guess I'll give them a B minus. I apologize. I know these grades aren't amazing. I know the grades aren't the highlight of the video. The discussion is, but we're still learning here, and we're trying to make things flow smoothly in favor of video formatting.
Exactly.
Now the Steelers, I'm honestly not going to give them a high grade here either. Alex Highsmith. I kind
of have a bias against the Steelers.
Well, both of us hate the Steelers. Let me just come out and say my least favorite team since the 2006 Super Bowl. They were like my childhood evil since that.
Yep.
Anyway, Chase Claypool in the second round. Some people really like this guy. He seems like he'll be a good wide receiver, and the Steelers know how to, develop him, but I don't think he has the talent to be most of the other guys, especially under the first round guys. Chenault also went in the second, but I don't think they're him either. I don't think Claypool's him.
Right, yeah.
And all the other picks, honestly, probably won't do anything, if this year, anytime down the line. So I'm going to give this grade for the Steelers a C minus.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a C.
They don't have a ton of picks. They got 6, and they don't have a first, but I don't see. I mean, this, based on our draft board, this draft, quite frankly, doesn't measure up. And moving on to our second least favorite team in the league, San Francisco. And obviously, they have a 30-something-year-old as the picture here because that's their main acquisition on draft night. Trent Williams. What did they have to give up to get him again?
They had to give up a 5th-round pick, I believe.
So a 5th-round pick to replace their Hall of Fame tackle, Joe Staley, with another Hall of Fame tackle in Trent Williams.
Yeah.
the Niners do scare us as Hawks fans. I won't lie. Me, obviously. And
I mean, especially them being the Super Bowl runner-up this year.
Well,
I mean, they're capable of anything.
Well, I was telling people before last year, 2 teams would double their wins, and it would be the Jets and the Niners. And the Jets, obviously, Sam Darnold got mono, Jamal Adams got injured, the whole season was over within week 1. But
Le'Veon Bell
Le'Veon Bell actually managed to get to 1,000 or so yards with a bad offensive line, like a really bad offensive line. So it wasn't Bell's fault. He was decently productive in spite of it, but not, he's getting pounded. This is exactly what he didn't want to do for the Steelers without getting paid. Now let's take these guys off the screen. So the Niners had 5 picks. Kinlaw, A+ at 14, and they traded back a couple times, screwed with the draft board like they're playing My League, and they're using the trade finder in 2K. Brandon Ayuk as well in the first round. If that's their guy, that's their guy. I heard they wanted Ruggs the day before the draft, but I guess they liked Ayuk a lot as well. And these other 3 picks I'm not going to judge, although Jawan Jennings I know is a beast from Tennessee. And I think that's a good 7th rounder. I think he should have gone maybe a little earlier. Based on these 2 top picks, I'm going to give the Niners an A+, and Trent Williams, and the fact that they're moving around the draft board like they're playing My League.
Right.
When it comes to general management, I hate to say it, John Lynch doesn't ever really falter. He doesn't ever slip up.
No, he does not.
And it makes it incredibly hard for us in our hometown Seattle Seahawks, who did have a good draft.
I gotta be honest with you. I gotta say, some of the picks that the Seahawks made, I did not fond too well with.
All right. Well, where do you want to start, Jack? I'll let you choose. Do you want to start at the top or bottom?
I definitely think with the first round pick, Brooks. He's an inside linebacker, and I don't know if it's for depth purposes or for special teams purposes or what it is, but we have pretty much the Seahawks have Bobby Wagner, and he's easily the anchor of that defense.
Best middle linebacker in the league.
Top 5 defensive player in the league. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a sign that they might be moving on from Bobby Wagner in the future, maybe 3 years down the road or what, but I didn't agree with that. I certainly wasn't expecting that move at all.
And when Jack told me this today, I was like, what? I went crazy. I was like, moving on from Bobby Wagner. But I understand what he's saying. To me, the Seahawks took the best player available, and they think that Jordan Brooks is a really special player. And they're not actually tipping their hand to moving on from Bobby Wagner or even moving on from KJ Wright. I hope they don't do either of those things. Sorry, there's a bug fluttering in my face.
As I was talking to Dom a little bit earlier today, one of the things I was saying was that, maybe I could see them moving on from KJ Wright in a year or 2, but certainly not Bobby Wagner.
See, Bobby's been such an integral part of this team. He led the team in tackles his rookie year, and obviously took it. We got him and Russ in the same round. That still blows my mind. And the 3rd round as well. Anyway, getting back to this pick, I think Jordan Brooks, it's in and of itself is a good pick. When you don't consider the fact that we have Ben Burke-Irvin and Cody Barton on the roster.
They're both special teams guys as well, too. So
and Shaquem Griffin probably won't make the roster at this point. I don't know how he's going to make the roster as the 6th or 7th middle backer. And we don't always play with 3 of them either because, we like those situations with more DBs and stuff. And that's the way the NFL is going.
Linebackers are more for special teams, in my opinion.
So, to me, that's the only problem is that our roster is really linebacker heavy. That happens. That's happened in the past. The one thing I'm interested to see is what happens with Burke-Irvin. I thought he would take a huge step forward. Barton was capable in pass coverage last year. He was capable. Anyway, I think Brooks is the best player available. I think they're just taking a young guy to learn from those guys and pick up the slack as they get older so that they can, continue to have dominance from that position. And hopefully it's more of a changing of the guard rather than like a replacement type of deal. Hopefully it's more of a soft change than a hard change. Either way, I like the pick. Jack doesn't. So we're divided on that one. Darrell Taylor, I like. What do you think, Jack?
I love that pick. I think Darrell Taylor is a really, really good pickup, especially we need that edge rusher, and who knows if Clowney's going to be coming back. So
that's right.
I mean, in addition, the Seahawks picked up a lot of free agents in the offseason. I think Bruce Irvin will be a big part of that, and he can definitely be a leader on that outside linebacker, defensive end type of position, especially for Darrell Taylor. And I think I see a lot of Darrell Taylor I see a lot of Bruce Irvin in Darrell Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good insight. And then Damian Lewis early in the third round was it wasn't what I was expecting, but I really liked the dude at LSU this entire season. You can ask Jack. I'd been telling him about this dude specifically. And, I mean, I think he's got the tools to be an NFL lineman. I don't know if he can do it this year, but he's the type of guy where I was really curious to see what he'd look like on an NFL weight program. And I'm thrilled that it's the Seahawks. So I really like that pick. Parkinson, neither of us love, obviously.
And I didn't understand the selection really because the Seahawks are loaded with tight ends right now.
Yeah, this tight end, it feels like tight end is the most loaded position, like the most deep position in the league that no one needs, Well,
unless they can be turned into special teams guys.
Right, tight ends. But who needs special teams guys at this point? You figure out special. Yeah, DJ Dallas. I like the idea of getting him back out of Miami because Travis Homer can maybe help him learn the offense quicker. I don't know. Maybe Travis Homer even told him that this guy was a baller. But either way, dude got like 5-something yards per carry on a losing Miami team last year. He ran hard for a losing team. And it's a pretty good pick. We'll see what happens. Alton Robinson has had some different off-the-field issues. He seems kind of like an edge project rather than a prospect that's going to play in the immediate future. Freddie Swain out of Florida seems to be a guy. He's been a guy that has been looked. I heard from Top Billing that he had NFL talent during the year, but not in crazy. And the Seahawks, who knows the way they cycle, they're like late. They're like we always draft some wide receivers. Like last year, it was John Ursua and Gary Jennings. This year Freddie Swain might just be the next one of them that just doesn't play. And then Steven Sullivan, Thaddeus Moss's backup. I really wanted us to take Thaddeus Moss, but Stephon Sullivan's actually really good too. Apologies for butchering that name real quick. Man, the Hawks, obviously the one we feel the biggest, connection to. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to give this draft a B.
Yeah, same here. I think most of the picks here.
Maybe a B minus.
Most of the picks here made sense. But some of them just didn't. So for that reason, I gave. Yeah.
Maybe B minus.
Yeah, B minus.
Only, it's a very good chance we may be wrong. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously have been making some major waves already this offseason. Brady, Gronk, who else? I don't know who else they brought in. But Yeah. Tristan Wirfs in the first, obviously. That was a lot of people's first tackle gone. He was our second, I believe. And they got him as the fourth of them. So they've got to be happy with that. They had to trade up to do it one spot with the Niners, but easily worth it as regardless.
Oh, wait, I did also want to say one thing. They did probably to be their backup. They re-signed Blaine Gabbert.
That's stupid. Fuck Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, to be freaking
he's so bad.
Brady's backup. Yeah,
dude, he's so bad. They're screwed if he goes in. They know it. Maybe they're just saying if Brady doesn't. Maybe they're just saying it's Brady or nothing.
Exactly.
Antoine.
They re-signed Ndamukong Suh.
They re-signed Suh. And
signed JPP.
They re-signed JPP. Okay, that's good. That's actually good to know.
They franchise tagged Shaquille Barrett.
That's right. They franchised Shaquille Barrett, who a lot of NFL players put in their top 20 when ranking the top 100. Watch out for that dude this year. He's going to get a major payday next offseason.
Yep.
So they took Antoine Winfield in the second, who a lot of people had pretty high. We didn't have him quite as high, but we had him, I think, right around here. Good pickup at that point. Seems to be a starting safety, if not now, in a year. Keyshawn Vaughn, they needed a running back for, they've got one of the weaker backfields in the league with Peyton Barber really being the main back. And yeah, hopefully they've got someone better than him and Keyshawn Vaughn. And all these other picks probably won't contribute. But the way these guys supplement their roster this year, I'll give them a B.
Right.
Protect Brady and give him a back. We've got two teams left. Moving on, Tennessee Titans. Had those two shocking games where they beat both the Patriots and the Ravens in the playoffs. And obviously took Cole McDonald in the 7th round. But we're not going to discuss that because he's not going to have an impact on the team. Larrell Murchison, we both thought is one of those better day 3 players. We just think he has a lower floor. And he's going to be an NFL player. But we don't know much other than that. Darrington Evans out of Appalachian State. Some people liked. We didn't know much about. Isaiah Wilson, we felt was a bit of a reach in the 1st round. Maybe not a crazy reach. And if you like your tackle and you get your tackle, it's a binary numbers game. Christian Fulton, I think, is the steal of the draft. I think that's the guy who slept the most from the 1st round that should have gone. And to me, this is like the thing that blew my mind the most. You guys know, if you remember, on day 1 and day 2, if you watch the live stream, I'm predicting every pick. I keep saying Fulton. No matter who I predict for the pick, I always, right before it comes in, I keep saying Fulton. Just hoping that fucking Christian Fulton gets drafted. And I think the Titans, it's hard to say they were lucky. They were lucky. Every team got lucky at that point, though. I think they were smart to take the chance on Christian Fulton. And for that reason alone, I'm going to give him a B+. They have a deep roster, and they didn't need a ton. That's why also probably part of the reason they don't have a ton of picks.
Right.
Yeah. Moving on to our last team, the Washington Redskins, who got some people's biggest prize of the draft.
Chase Young.
And he's not even their picture. All right. Starting out, obviously, with Chase Young out of Ohio State. Best edge prospect most I've ever seen. You guys know all the analysis on him, on that pick. For that reason alone, it makes it hard for them not to do well in this. I think the only teams I'm going to end up giving A+ to is Dolphins, Bengals, and I think I'm going to give these guys probably a B+, held up mostly by Chase Young. Antonio Gibson, I barely know who he is from Memphis. I know that he was pretty, I barely know who he is, but And then Sadiq Charles out of LSU, I was also telling Jack about that guy. I think he'll be good in the NFL. Maybe 1 year of sitting, but with Jack Conklin gone, I don't know why I'm talking about the Titans for a sec. Sadiq Charles. Sadiq Charles seems to be a good tackle to me. Antonio Gandy-Golden out of Liberty was a good wide receiver prospect on a lot of people's board. Seems interesting. Maybe they got a good one there. B+ for me on this basically popped up by basically just off of Chase Young, and I think Sadiq's a decent pick.
Yeah.
Kaliki Hudson out of Michigan was actually someone we looked at. We're creating a big board too. Anyway, I'm gonna give him a B+ just because of Chase Young, and I think with Ron Rivera and Chase Young, I think they're on their way to having a top 5 front 7 in the league this year, and maybe winning the division next year.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know who the quarterback's going to be when they do it, but I mean, between Alex Smith, also shouts. I don't know if you guys watched that E60 that aired on ESPN tonight on Alex Smith. That's really good though. I suggest you check it out.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know, and then if so I don't know who the quarterback of the Redskins would be, but they could challenge the division in 2 years if that front 7 turns out this year the way I hope it will. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. This has been another edition. This has been another edition of Dom and Jack, of Dom and Jack's 2020 NFL draft coverage, and this is actually the last episode of our live NFL draft coverage. It's been really fun. We appreciate you guys for tuning into it. But we're going to move on, and we're going to be doing what we discussed about in the last video, the divisional roundtable, where we're going to cover each division and each team a little more in depth, going into really the extended offseason and basically laying a preface for our season predictions when it comes time for that.
Yep, that's right.
So expect 8 videos, 4 on my channel on the AFC divisions, and 4 on Jack's channel on the NFC divisions. We're actually going to try to get these up within the next week or two, probably all of them. Hopefully we're going to get 4 of them out within the next week. We'll make that word to you guys by next Saturday night. We'll hopefully have 4 done, 2 on Jack's channel and 2 on mine, of our divisional roundtables. And we're hoping to move on to more MLB, NBA stuff. We've been covering NFL a lot with the draft. It's really just covering what we can. We were hoping the NBA draft would occur, even though it would be impossible to figure out, to my knowledge, without the season ending. It would give us a new thing to talk about. But unfortunately, the draft lottery is being postponed, so we won't get to talk about that for a while. If the MLB draft happens, we'll talk about that. The NHL draft, we will not. We don't know anything about hockey. If we do end up talking about hockey, it'll be few and far between, and it'll be surface level. Yeah.
Even though we do have a hockey team coming here next year, so.
That's right. So MLB draft is most likely also not going to happen.
Right.
I think they were discussing doing it from home, but I think the 50 rounds would just make it so hard without the limited scouting. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. But whatever happens or whatever doesn't happen, we'll be covering it.
Exactly.
And we hope you guys tune in. And even if you don't, we're having a lot of fun doing this, and we're learning a lot. With that being said, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.